All right. Hello and welcome to Creature Club, the podcast where we talk about monsters of Dungeons and Dragons, 5th edition, and other editions. I'm your host, Mikey DC, and with me, as always, is Tim Porter.
That's me over here.
And a Mr. Daniel White.
That's me over there.
That's him in the corner. That's him in the spotlight.
Losing his religion.
Losing my religion.
Copyright struck. Might as well end the episode here if we're not going to make any money off it.
I know. We need all that internet money. Dollar bill. Anyway,
it just spits itself out of a printer.
Yes,
got one
it
plugged
does.
in.
I just use my card. I just tap my computer and it gives me money. So, yeah, but today we're going to do a monster. We're going to go back into the Creature Club swing of things. We're going to kind of take a break from the demons for a second and continue on with the Ds. That's not devils, I guess, because that's another big thing that we'll get to. So we're going to do the Displacer Beast. The spooky predator bad cat. What do you guys know about this guy?
Not a lot, but I do have a bad cat currently just yelling at me in the background, so say hello to Sasha, anybody who can hear. Yeah.
That was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have a bad cat for the bad cat episode. Well, Sasha's a good cat. He's almost black. He's grey. But he's going to be very loud this episode, apparently.
Well,
what can they tell us about Displacer Beasts? We can have our first guest on.
Oh.
Yeah. Are they trying to kill you while teleporting around your room?
Possibly. He's jumping around. But yeah.
How ominous.
What do we know about the Displacer Beast?
Well, I know that it's a monster in Dungeons and Dragons.
Who's been there
Sorry.
since the beginning.
I'm sorry. I'm just really enjoying the cat.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Let's I'm sorry. Let's perform a podcast. So the Displacer Beast has been around since the Greyhawk supplement, which is the third supplement for Dungeons and Dragons, or the first.
I thought it was the first.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it was the first. I'm thinking of. I think Eldritch Wizardry is the third. I'm trying to remember what order they came in. Anyway, okay, so it was in the game since Greyhawk. It's based on a creature from a 1939 science fiction story called Black Destroyer by A.E. I think Van Vogt. Although I don't know how to pronounce his name.
Van Vogt.
I think that's correct. Yeah, that is correct. I nailed it.
Woo!
So it's in that story, it performs a similar task to what it does in D&D. It's a 6-legged, 2-tentacled feline that feeds on other creatures' intelligences. So just like a real cat in that sense.
Got him.
Sick burn.
Thank you. And it's been in the game ever since. That's really all there is to it. The creature that it's based on is called the Coeurl. 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 Is that Coeurl or Surreal?
I don't know. It could be
Could
churro
be either.
even.
Could be either.
Churro.
It's a churro. It's a delicious sugary snack that you can eat.
God,
with
I love a
chocolate.
churro.
Yeah, that'll be good.
Sorry. Yes, it's been in every edition ever since. There is a breakdown of its ecology in Dragon Magazine 109. Like we've mentioned before, there's ones like that for a lot of different creatures, a lot of the older creatures, especially like the Ankeg and the Bullet.
Yeah. It's just going to be real loud.
I'm a really big fan of it. And that's kind of all there is to it, really. It's not one of those creatures that's had like loads of stuff. Like it doesn't have a city somewhere in Eberron where everyone is a Displacer Beast or something like that. But interestingly enough, it is considered product identity. So it's not part of the Ump and Game license like a lot of D&D stuff. Like the Beholder and like some other things. It's part of. It's basically intellectual property of Wizards of the Coast, and so they're the only ones who can use it.
Right.
In the context of a fantasy creature or whatever.
Cat's thrown
So
up
yeah,
now.
if you,
Oh, no.
wow.
Oh, I should deal with that. You guys keep talking, and I'll jump back in a second.
Cool.
Is it like Dragonborn as well? that you can't actually use. Did I hear that, or it could be wrong?
I don't know actually. I've never seen it anywhere else. So you might be absolutely right.
Yeah,
that
means
sense.
if you're making an adventure at home, I guess if you're publishing one, like a homebrew adventure, you can't use Displacer Beast in there. So, but whatever. Yeah, it seems like by looking at all the earlier editions, this guy hasn't really changed his gimmick since day one. He kind of seems to. He's like a predator. He wants to kill because he just likes doing it. He has tentacles. He teleports around the place. That's really it. It's a cool, interesting monster, but he kind of hasn't really changed since day one. I think he's kind of considered a pretty a pretty classic D&D monster. I think.
I think you're right.
A lot of people play there are just kind of like, oh, Displacer Beast. You got to fight one of those at least once. It's kind of like a beholder or a dragon.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fair to say that the fact that it's like a piece of Wizards IP, even the name, and the fact that it's based on is kind of why it's seen as iconic, and I'd say also the fact that it's based on kind of an existing monster, even if that monster is like a pretty obscure piece of fiction at this stage, I would imagine. Certainly, I'd never heard of it until I was reading up on Displacer Beast.
Neither have I.
So probably because of that, because that's the basis, that there wouldn't be many changes to it. And if there was an intent to change it, there might be a question of well, rather than changing the Displacer Beast, why don't we just make another creature instead? At least that would be my instinct. Because it seems like generally, one of the only changes I know to iconic creatures between editions is the Tarrasque doesn't regenerate in 4th and 5th edition. And it regenerated up until then. It had that was one of its features, that it had a really strong regeneration factor, so that it was hard to deal any permanent damage to it. And now that hasn't been the case. That wasn't the case in 4th or 5th edition.
Yeah. I have returned.
Okay. I think he's definitely in the ballpark of those monsters like the basilisk or those kind of guys where they have one thing they do, and it'll be an interesting fight for kind of a first level party, and then you probably wouldn't use them again after that. But how about we'll talk about that when we're talking about it later. I'm getting a bit ahead of myself here. I'm kind of jumping into the driver's seat, into the conductor's seat of the train. I'm sorry, what do we use for... What's our what metaphors do we use again
the
on the show?
Outfit, and then you shot the train driver, and then drove it into a car, and now you're driving the car, and
I'm also a chef, I think, or I'm a customer at a restaurant.
You're a chef and a murderer of metaphors, so you've got two jobs.
Yes, hooray! Let's read what's on the book right here. Let's have a read of this guy.
Sure. Shall I read it?
Go ahead, Tim, if you want to.
Displacer Beast. This monstrous predator takes its name from its ability to displace light so that it appears to be several feet away from its actual location. A Displacer Beast resembles a sleek great cat covered in blue-black fur. However, its otherworldly origins are clear in its 6 legs and 2 tentacles sprouting from its shoulders, both ending in pads tipped with spiky protrusions. A Displacer Beast's eyes glow with an awful malevolence that persists even in death. Wow, that was a tongue-tying, twisty.
A lot of big words there for very little point.
Yeah, I enjoyed speaking
the word
it.
Protrusions.
Yeah, I enjoyed speaking it, but it wasn't. But yeah, anyway, so that's its little paragraph. It has a couple more that are specific, but that's its physical description. And in the book, there is a very, very cool picture of it. I love all the illustrations in this, but this has always been one of my favorites.
It's an excellent illustration. I think it really does a great job of... I think one thing that this picture does that a lot of the other pieces of art for the Displacer Beast maybe don't do as well is this one feels... there feels like there's a bit more of an active inspiration from big cats. It feels more like they've taken a panther as a reference material or something like that, because it's moving in the right way. And obviously it still looks like an alien creature. But just it's got that, just the way its back is arched and its legs are spread, it does look like it's prowling. And I think it's just a really impressive bit of work.
You could even see its musculature. It looks like they've really had a good go at like working on its like anatomy almost. Because all the muscles are really, they look real to life. Although we have lots of examples of cats to refer to, whereas we don't have many giant evil skulls like Badhead or Death Knights. I suppose we have a couple. But like, I think this is like, I'd say people probably study how to draw cats and they learn all of the anatomy of them so that you can make it look realistic. And I think this is just a really like perfect example of how to make one look real good. So congrats to whoever did this one. You got the Tim seal of approval.
Wow, that's big news. Right, so Unseelie origins. Displacer beasts roamed the twilight lands of the Feywild for ages until they were captured and trained by the Unseelie court. Am I pronouncing that right? Unseelie?
I think so.
As far as I know, yeah, they're basically the bad Fae.
Right, okay. Bad Fae. The warriors of the court selectively bred the beasts to reinforce their ferocious and predatory nature, using them to hunt unicorns, pegasi, and other wondrous prey. How terrifying. Why? Unicorns, they didn't do anything to you. Come on. Running and breeding freely in the Now I'm messing up, Tim. Running and breeding freely in the Feywild, the Displacer beasts soon came to the attention of the Seelie court. With blink dog companions at their side, Fey hunters drove these predators to the fringes of the Feywild, where many crossed over the material plane. To this day, Displacer beasts and blink dogs attack each other on sight. Kind of like a cat versus dog kind of situation there. A bit of lore for you there.
That's giving them a little bit of history. Yeah, I like that. And I like how this book does that. It gives you some idea of a little bit of history. Like, the history that they give here is Forgotten Realms or whatever, and like, it's a nice general suggestion as to how they might exist if you want to go into that kind of detail.
Yeah, cool. Like, I probably like never use that kind of stuff, but it's fine to have in the book. You might as well put it in the book because that's where, that's their history for it. So
yeah, and when you're trying to tell your players, like, if they're first-time players, telling them that they can ask about anything or like ask questions and make actions. If somebody asks, where did these things come from, then have a little bit of spiel ready, or have like a tiny little general idea, or just have your wizard have no idea.
Or just tell them like your butt, and then whenever everyone laughs, refuse to answer a question.
Then that person will never ask a question again, and your problems are solved.
Yeah. They would be like, why did I ask the question? Everyone's laughing at me now. I feel terrible.
We're just conditioning our players to play the game the way we want them to.
Or a wizard made it. That's always my answer.
Good.
Classic.
Anyway, let's continue.
Daniel, Love of the Kill.
How did you know? I mean, yeah, I'll read this book. Love of the Kill. Displacer beasts kill not just for food, but also for sport. They target prey even when they are not hungry, often toying with their victims to entertain themselves until they are ready to eat. After killing its prey using its tentacles, a displacer beast drags the corpse to a quiet place where it can feed without distraction. Displacer beasts hunt alone or in small prides that demonstrate skill at setting ambushes. A single beast will strike and withdraw. Luring. This is because I have glasses and I'm blind. Luring prey into a densely wooded area where its pack mates wait. Packs of displacer beasts hunting near trade roads recall the frequency and schedule of regular caravans, laying down ambushes to pick off those caravans. They use the word caravans twice in the same sentence, and my English teacher would have a field day with that. You would say, pick off them, because the only thing you've said is caravans. That's why you use nouns.
Or pick those off.
That's true. That would also work. Finally, prized guards and pets. You can have one for your very own home for only 7 payments of $9.95 silver pieces. Prized guards and pets. Intelligent evil creatures favor displacer beasts as pets, but a displacer beast enters in such alliance only if it appears beneficial. A displacer beast might guard a vault or act as a bodyguard for a prominent individual. That's just
like
the first sentence you said again. You just repeated. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. I feel like that's like...
Did they give this page to the intern or something to write?
No,
I'm sorry. I'm being a bit mean.
It's all great, but it's just weird that they go, basically, intelligent creature, like displacer beasts would be a good bodyguard, and then the second sentence is, displacer beasts would be a good bodyguard. They just said the same thing twice. There's no new information in the second. Like, that's just really weird. Like, I expected for a, like, I don't know, drow lord, or sorry, drow lords don't exist because it's a matriarchal society. So like drow priestess, or like duragars, or some other cruel evil creature, or I don't know who the bad fae are. I don't remember.
Or bullywugs.
They're bad. Bullywugs.
Yep.
But it just says that they would make good bodyguards, and then it says they would make good bodyguards.
Yeah,
it's
but
weird.
it also says like a displacer beast would only do this if it benefits them, and then it says they'll just stand in front of a vault.
Yeah,
they'll
actually,
guard a vault.
that's something that I want to talk about, but we can talk about it when we get to the stat block.
All right.
Yeah. But did you know they make good bodyguards, Daniel?
Do they make good bodyguards?
I'm pretty sure the book says that they make good bodyguards.
I think they make evil bodyguards.
All right, now you're getting a bit spooky there.
Thank you.
But well done, though. I will congratulate you on that one, but it's a bit scary. Anyway, we got a show to do, guys, here. And
we sure do.
What I heard that we do, I guess, it says in my notes here that we have to do something called meat and potatoes.
Right. So Mikey,
mine says
DC,
onions, carrots, leeks. Oh, hang on, this is a shopping list. Sorry.
So we've all actually died, and we are robot replacements. They basically are going to refresh us every year after this point because, recycling jokes. I mean, there are a few that we've been programmed with that will recur because, they're fan favorites, or, it's impossible to program a human robot that doesn't think the same way. So, carrion crawlers, definitely. Mm-hmm.
No.
Mm-hmm.
This weird new meta narrative we've constructed is weirdly
I'm not into
concept.
it.
I'm not really into this one.
I don't really have the energy to keep up a meta narrative.
Cut it off here.
Yeah.
Cut it off. Cut the tape.
All right, play the music.
I don't want to be like the new Carboys or whatever. I just want to make it a nice podcast.
Yeah. All right, Displacer Beast. He's a large monstrosity, lawful evil, armor class 13, and that's his natural armor. Hit points 85, and that's 10d10s plus 30. And he has a speed of 40, so it can move around pretty fast, or faster than an adventurer, I guess. So if you wouldn't want to run away from this guy, or this girl, or whatever gender it is, even though it can teleport, actually, I don't know what I'm saying. Whatever, we'll get to that. Strength 18, Dex 15, Constitution 16, Intelligence 6, Wisdom 12, Charisma 8. It has a dark vision of 60 feet and a passive perception of 11, no languages, and has a challenge rating of 3, and you get 700 experience points in your pocket to do whatever you want with that. Timothy, you're about to say something.
What do you do with your points?
I'm going to invest it in Apple.
Oh man,
that's a really good idea. I should have thought of that.
Good call. But I was going to say,
I invested in the Zune and it did not work out.
I just love that we Tim can't say anything. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Tim.
I'm gonna buy a new N gauge with it. Actually,
you literally just interrupted Tim again.
I know. It's just the comedy goes in threes. That's I needed to do it.
But I was going to say that the intelligence. Its intelligence is 6, which is basically directly in contradiction to what they have established. Like they say that they are intelligent beasts that can they remember specific knowledge, not just the kind of bestial stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
So their wisdom isn't even particularly high. Maybe they're trying to lower it down so that it fits the challenge rating 3. But I think having its wisdom that low is its literal lowest stat is its intelligence, which it just talked up in some previous stuff. So
Totally agree.
Yeah.
That was exactly what I was going to talk about, Tim. There's two factors to this stat block that do not make sense in context of what we've learned. Firstly, that these displacer beasts have enough malevolent intelligence to outmaneuver the Unseelie Court. The Unseelie Court, by the way, is the sort of group that you can get warlock powers from. So this CR3 monster just outmaneuvered your patron. So that's kind of a weird move.
Its IQ is over a million when it's in a fight, Daniel.
It's displacing.
While it's displacing.
The other thing is it mentions how intelligent evil creatures favor displacer beasts as pets and bodyguards, obviously, but they only enter such alignments if it appears beneficial. And now that makes sense because they do have the lawful evil alignment, which actually I like because that means they can be like forced by their code to do stuff, which is always cool. But they don't speak any languages. They don't even understand any languages. How do they make these alliances?
Yeah, it is very strange how like dumb they have made them in the stat block. Like, if somebody was playing a character with intelligence 6, they are not going to be a real bright spark.
Like, yeah, that's the thing. Like, you have to remember, like, 10 is the average. Like, a normal person has 10 intelligence. 10 intelligence represents, like, I have a clear understanding of cause and effect, and I can retain facts, and I can, you know, come to reasonable conclusions. I can perform basic arithmetic, assuming I've had the training, stuff like that.
I can establish an ambush, a basic ambush, with my mates, whereas this guy does that, but doesn't have the brains to do it. It's very strange.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that if I were to... I think the two things you could do straight away with the Displacer Beast is just bump the intelligence up to 10, because no one's going to care. Like, 10 intelligence means that it doesn't get -2 to the intelligence saving throws it takes, which are very infrequent anyway.
Yeah.
I would just give it, like, Sylvan. I'd say, like, it speaks Sylvan, or if there's a better language for the Unseelie Court, I'd use that. Yep. But I don't know if there is. I think there isn't. I don't think the Unseelie Court get their own language. So I would say speak Sylvan and like maybe like has a chance of understanding Common or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like maybe write down like mostly understands Common, like that, something like that, where it kind of gets a little bit of a grasp of it.
Yeah, like maybe like understands Common but doesn't speak it. So like again, playing with that idea that it can use that information to ambush prey, but it doesn't speak the language itself.
Yeah. I have an idea, but I'm going to wait till dessert time to say it.
Okay, cool. Let's talk about some of this creature's abilities, because they are its main thing, really. Avoidance. If it is subjected to an effect that would allow it to make a saving throw and take only half damage, it instead takes no damage if it succeeds and half if it fails. So that's the rogue's uncanny dodge or evasion.
Yeah.
Evasion?
I can never remember which one it is. It's always one or the other. It's the rogue thing. It might actually be called avoidance.
It's the rogue thing.
Yeah.
Evasion.
No, I think it's called evasion. I say evasion. I think it's called avoidance when it's given to monsters, and I think rogues call it evasion.
It's evasion, yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
And then uncanny dodge is the one that lets you use a reaction to take half damage.
Yes.
I just ran a game, my Christmas special that DC was out, and there was 2 rogues at the table, and like I would be like rolling damage, and they would just go, I uncanny dodge or evasion. I'd be like, yep, whatever you say, boss. It's like, I don't know, I can't keep it. There's 7 players at this table. I have no idea what your fucking character does. Like,
yeah, we could have wrote down like does 1 billion damage, and you would be like, whatever, man, just keep the game going.
I mean, the only person person who I was like pretty sure what I knew what they were doing was like Mikey, but like that's because you were playing your like the sort of the Mikey comfortable pair of shoes, you know, like the great weapon fighter, which is sort of like your just like it's your signature move basically at this stage.
Oh yeah, no, I love playing fighters, and I most of all love playing champion great weapon fighters.
Absolutely.
My favorite character I ever played was Lucas Temper, who was a monster hunter who had a big sword, basically was a shonen protagonist, and I've basically tried to make him ever since for every other game. So, you know, we all have that one character we always love to play.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay, second ability, displacement. The Displacer Beast projects a magical illusion that makes it appear to be standing near its actual location. That's a weird way to phrase that. The Displacer Beast projects a magical illusion that makes it appear to be standing near to its location. Okay, like you could just say nearby, That's what that word means. Causing attack rolls against it to have disadvantage. If it is hit by an attack, this trait is disrupted until the end of its next turn.
Okay.
The trait is also disrupted while the Displacer Beast is incapacitated or has a speed of 0. That's cool. I like that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I thought for a second that it had forgotten to explain what disadvantage it caused to you, but it does say causing attack rolls to have disadvantage, so yeah.
Yeah, exactly,
Cool.
yeah.
I like that.
Wait a second. So he can't teleport then? Is that
Yeah,
right?
No.
I feel like
Interesting.
he could, but I could be wrong. You would think with the term like displacement.
He displaces his image to like slightly to his left or slightly in front or slightly behind him, so he's basically bending light around himself magically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because no, I've always known this guy as being kind of a teleporting guy, and
Yeah.
I have like 4E here, and I think he has teleportation. No, displacement as well. Maybe
I
I'm
think it's
wrong.
because his rival is the Blink Dog, and the Blink Dog does teleport.
Yeah.
So I think
Yeah.
the natural assumption is that they both teleport, but I guess the Displacer Beast doesn't or does. I feel like I feel the same way, Mikey. I'm almost positive I've seen versions of the Displacer Beast with
Maybe
with the
we're having
ability
a Mandela effect right now.
maybe we are. Maybe we're
Wow,
We've
maybe
seen
it is.
the Blink
Well,
Dog
like,
so many times and seen the Displacer
Yeah,
Beast
I
against
guess.
it.
Yeah, I guess like what why I thought about it is that like if you picture yourself as a D&D character fighting a Displacer Beast, it's almost like it's teleporting. You know, if him using his displacement is like in universe, it looks like he's teleporting. Where you maybe you hit him and then he's like not in that spot, he's in another spot next to it or something. You know, maybe I don't know, but that's still crazy though that I thought he teleported. That's strange.
Yeah, and it's funny how we've all had this memory of a Displacer Beast being a teleporty boy.
Send us a tweet on Twitter at CreatureCultPod if you also thought that Displacer Beast was supposed to do this. I'm very interested if this actually is a Mandela effect.
Yeah, because like I would have thought that like it did have the displacer ability where like it was flickering, but I thought the flickering was because it was like in another plane at the same time, or like was able to flicker between them, and that was like its version of teleportation. But anyway, let's move on because we're almost finished. Tim, do you want to do its actions real quick?
Sure. Its actions, it has a multi-attack where the Displacer Beast makes 2 attacks with its tentacles. Its tentacle is a melee weapon attack with +6 to hit with a reach of 10 foot. One target hit is 7 damage, 1d6 plus 4. Bludgeoning damage plus 3, 1d6. Piercing damage. So there you go. It only has tentacle attacks.
Yeah, it only has 1 attack.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I'm kind of surprised it doesn't even have like a weaker claw attack that it can use
or a
instead.
bite even.
Yeah.
There you
it
go.
would be easy to just do a bite or a claw. Just
Well,
I mean, you could literally just be like D4 bite, D4 claw, done.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh
wow.
Cool.
So-
All right. That is the stat
so-
block.
I looked across to the dinosaurs on the opposite page and looked at the plesiosaur, who is a challenge to, and I thought, cool, they have a bite. Maybe we could add that in. It does 3d6 plus 4 piercing damage on a bite.
Yeah, no.
which
That's
is
because it's
substantially
large.
more.
It's a
Well, they're
literal
both
dinosaur.
large, isn't? Yeah, they're both large.
Yeah, but this guy he's challenge rating 3, and his tentacle does less damage than the bite of the plesiosaur, which maybe they made sense of with its cool abilities, but I don't think those cool abilities are enough to be able to like bridge the gap between fighting a second level party and a third level party, because that damage is not going to deal.
Yeah, I guess the abilities are making it harder for you to hurt him, and and that means the encounter is just kind of going on a little bit longer. If you were just fighting as a plesiosaur who's just like a meat bag for your players to hit, and he gets 1 attack, which is that 3d6 one. But this guy, if you try to hit him, it can be like it's disadvantage. He's able to avoid it, and he does 2 attacks, which is basically 2d6 plus 8 plus another d6. So he kind of actually does.
You
does more damage.
If you think about the fact, Tim, that like the Plesiosaurus doesn't have a multi-attack,
That's true.
The multi-attack is more flexible in the sense that you get to split your damage.
Yeah, or if you miss one, you still get to potentially deal damage with a second.
Exactly. Yeah,
Okay.
and it's got a pretty good to hit bonus +6, which is pretty good given that it's a CR3 monster.
Yeah.
Like that's hitting, I would say, against especially when you consider the fact that like it can move fast. You have disadvantage until someone in the party hits it, and it can dodge the most it can dodge things like the wizard's fireball or the thunderwave or whatever the party try to throw at it spell-wise, and it takes way less damage from those things. Like when you consider all that context, it's probably going to be pretty easy for the Displacer Beast to get past the front line and start hitting up the wizard, the bard, the people who don't want to get hit. And against them, it's hitting probably half the time, if not more than that. And like, what are they going to do? Like, if they try to hit it, they have disadvantage, they miss, and then it keeps getting that. And like, I don't know.
I think maybe its displacement should give disadvantage on opportunity attacks as well. I think that might be
It does.
It does?
Well, it says you have attack rolls have disadvantage.
Rolls. Okay. Yeah, on
so
its turn.
It's well, yeah. Well, what do you mean?
Until its turn, where it basically does its displacement thing. Like once you hit it, you don't have to do it again until it's.
Oh yeah. Sorry, yeah.
Next turn.
Yes, Once you hit it, it's like it's basically like it turns off until the end of the Displacer Beast's next turn.
Yeah, it has to like shake it off and remember that it's trying to displace.
Yeah, exactly.
Shake it off.
And there's also it's if it's incapacitated or has a speed of 0, and that's a pretty clever way of putting it, because a speed of 0 normally happens because, for example, you've been restrained or grappled.
Yeah.
So there's a really natural thing there where the party might realize if we can grab this thing, it won't be able to shimmy anymore. And that's a pretty like clever way to fight it. And you just have to hope that whoever's grabbed it can survive the multi-attacks long enough for everyone else to get a few hits in. Because the other thing I would say about the Displacer Beast is it's actually got a fair whack of health.
It has.
For a CR3 monster.
That's why I think it might make like a fun boss fight for first time players, level 2, maybe even level 1 for a harder one. It'd be the encounter will go on for a while, and it might be a bit of fun. But
yeah.
But sure, how about we go on to dessert time now and talk about our ideas on how to use them.
Yes.
All right.
Let's do it.
Time
say
to ring
goodbye.
time to say goodbye. Time to ring the dessert bell. They have dessert bells. I don't know,
they do.
man.
I don't know. We're last call.
do they?
That's correct. Yeah.
Dessert bell?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh wow. Is it different than the dinner bell?
I think there is a dessert. Isn't the dessert bell smaller?
Oh yeah, it's like bing, and then
Yeah, it's like the little
you-
tiny one that's like it's a very like delicate noise.
and you wheel in the cakes. Yes,
Yeah, man.
Ah,
You're
makes
absolutely
sense,
right.
yeah. Hooray! Wow.
Wheel in the cakes.
Wheel in the cakes.
Wheel in the cake.
Just roll the cakes along the floor.
My car needs new tires. Wheel in the cakes.
Oh no, it's falling down the stairs.
Oh boy. Oh man. Anyway, dessert time.
Dessert time. Play the music.
All right. It's probably been playing.
No, it hasn't. Play it now.
Okay. So shall we start as always with the matrix room, with the blank white room,
Yep.
no terrain for either
So-
side. Start approximately 30 feet from each other, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yep, and there you. Let's say you have 4 level 3 characters against this guy. We'll go how the challenge rating is.
Yeah,
Blank
that's a good
room. You're fighting this guy. Matrix room. How's the encounter going to go?
I think because this is one creature who has a sort of a pretty straightforward set of abilities, I think the answer is it depends on the party, more so
Yeah.
than other creatures we encounter.
I agree.
I think that, like, if you have, for example, if you have maybe something like, fighter, rogue, ranger, barbarian, then its displacement will probably get broken more often, but it'll probably be important more of the time. But if you have like kind of a mixture of like the sort of like maybe you have like the like a fighter and a bard and a wizard and a cleric, or maybe a paladin in there, I think that like a couple of different factors are going to change the fight.
Yeah.
Like I think if the party is heavily armored, I don't think that multi-attack is reliable enough, and I think it needs something else. Just in terms of like putting in regular damage, although it does have a 10-foot reach, which is actually pretty handy.
Yep.
So yeah, and I also think that like, yeah, so I think it depends a lot actually. I think it really varies on party to party. And I think in some fights, like I think in a low magic party, I think the Displacer Beast fight could be really tough. But I do feel like even with avoidance, that against a party with more magic, it would probably be a little more straightforward. Although maybe that's just my impression of things. What do you guys think?
I was thinking that what you had said initially, that it depends on the party. I thought you meant it depended on the actual players themselves, because at level 3, if you are a new player, this is where you're going to be introduced to some of your primary mechanics that you're going to play for the rest of the game. So you're going to be using these interesting new and oftentimes very powerful abilities for the first time. And so if you are fighting a creature that can get away from a good chunk of them, this is a really good guy to fight, to recognize that these new abilities that you have are still very powerful, but there are other enemies out there that have solid foils to your abilities. So
yeah, that's a really good point actually.
Whereas if you are fighting an experienced party, they are going to be ready with their powers, and they're going to think, okay, so I know exactly what my stuff can do, and I know that this guy is going to be a little bit of a challenge because well, I suppose it's because like you know your DM, and he's will or won't challenge you very heavily. But if you are challenge rating 3 or your guys are level 3 and you're fighting a challenge rating 3, I think this is a good starter for them, because it's going to be introducing them to their abilities in an effective foil situation.
That's a really good point actually. Yeah, just sort of subjectively, that like a creature that's like, I take less damage from your spells, and I impose constant disadvantage on your attack rolls, and like I can move faster than you can and everything, like is a really good idea of like, oh wow, like even though we're like learning all this new stuff and we have all these cool spells and everything, there's still like creatures out here who are like dangerous, like fundamentally. So that's like a kind of a cool point as well.
It might even give him like a chance to start thinking about like how can we help our odds with this a little bit? Maybe we can shove him to like get advantage.
What can we do?
Maybe
get
do grease like on the ground to like make him slip. Use the fucking grease spell. Just kind of maybe start using your head a bit instead of like getting your fighter to like grog the half orc barbarian to start whacking him with his sword. That's not working a lot of time. Try and use your brain a little bit. Maybe try and find a different way to beat this guy. Like it's that's why I think
grab him. You have advantage on grab checks while you're raging, so like you'll be real good at it.
Exactly. Yeah. That's why I think he's fun to definitely throw out to new players, not just early levels. Because I'd say if you're doing an experienced party, by then it's not their first rodeo. They'll kind of know what to do. We're like, oh yeah, either we just keep the fight going and just keep whacking out, or whatever. I have a spell and I know what to do. But new players be like, well, this thing's so cool, interesting. Let's I don't know. Let's try and figure it out. Like it can be a fun little experience,
I think even for an experienced party, even if you have people who are going to be like metagaming, like they know that it has these abilities, it's still going to be able to like avert some of the damage committed to it. And if it does try to run away and you pursue it, you're going to be, if you go by its couple paragraphs here, it's going to introduce you to a whole bunch more of Displacer Beasts. So, if they think they're being whip smart, they are not. They are being silly, falling into
You could also make the argument that the displacement ability, if it does run away, sorry, this is just piggybacking off that idea, Tim, that you could say displacement also gives them, say, advantage on checks to escape, like on stealth checks to like lose the party, because the idea is like you're not sure if you're chasing the real thing or the illusion.
Ooh, that's cool. Also, its speed being 40 means that at a dash it can run almost 3 times your party's run speed.
True.
So it is going to get away if you try to run away.
Yeah, unless you have a monk with
Step of the wind.
Boots of haste,
Yeah.
trying to chase after him. When you guys are talking about making its intelligence more like to making it higher a little bit, I was thinking about like just kind of doubling down on it and making him like bringing the intelligence up pretty high and making it like a very intelligent creature. And then I was thinking about the movie Predators. Not the recent Predator film, but the one before that,
the one with Adrian Brody.
The one with Adrian Brody, where they wake up on the island and they're like, why are we on this island? And there's predators chasing after him. I was thinking about like a D&D one shot where you start low level, you have no weapons, and you have to survive, but they have a bunch of really intelligent versions of these guys in there, and they're just chasing after you. Kind of just like, I think this is like the 5th time I've mentioned a Predator comparison, but like it seems fitting here, with this guy.
Yeah,
I agree. Actually, yeah.
While we were doing a little bit of research, we found the term Durlagron, which was an alternative name, but we also found out that it was the kind of the humanoid version of it. So maybe the Durlagron will do something like that. The like anthropomorphic version of these guys, but they'll still have this like bestial test of some of their up and coming, what is it, like basically turning into an adult, like a test of who you
coming
are.
of age ritual.
Coming of age, thank you, Daniel. Like a coming of age kind of thing, where they have to use just their basic abilities, whereas the Durlagron will have like they'll stand on their hind legs or something like that. But that could be cool.
Yeah, that's cool. But I love the design of the great cat Displacer beast. So I would love to use him a bit more instead of a humanoid version, which is we're fine. But
totally.
I like this guy. This guy looks really cool.
Yeah, like the illustrations that we have definitely lends itself to the stealthy, the sleek, this really cool muscle-bound creature that is extremely strong. Like 18 is not a number to be sniffed at for a stat.
Yeah,
and,
but just
an imposing foe.
Yeah, but just like bring up his intelligence and like for like maybe like a boss version of it, kind of give it like better stealth, maybe like even almost like a cloaking kind of thing, or like using his displacement for
active
like
camo.
No, but maybe just using it basically for more of a stealth reason, giving it a bit more abilities, maybe and making
like
it just stronger.
It doesn't have any proficiency in any of its skills. So maybe give it, perception because it has evil eyes, and give it like stealth because it's a literal stealth creature. Just a couple little bits and bobs here and there to bump it up if you want to use it in like a broader context kind of campaign where you're going to have to encounter a lot of different versions of a Displacer beast. It could be cool.
Do you guys want to play my Displacer beast only campaign?
Wait. Only as in like, do we have to also play Displacer beasts?
Yes. No, I don't know.
Okay. Can I still take class levels or?
Oh no, you have to play this block right here.
Oh, okay.
Everyone is the exact same. Everyone weighs 650 pounds.
Is this going to be like sort of a political game then? If everyone's the exact same?
Ooh.
Or does everyone just swipe at each other with disadvantage all the time?
Or we can just play like X-Wing or something. I don't know. Like...
Let's just play Hungry Iron Outpost.
Yeah, cool. Do you guys have any cool ideas for this guy?
Just to build on the idea of kind of a sort of a leader for the Displacer beasts. I like the idea of giving it proficiency in some skills. I think perception and stealth are two very likely candidates that make a lot of sense and will obviously get used. Mm-hmm. But to play with that idea of like turning a Displacer beast into a boss fight, I would say, like give it legendary actions. Like my instinct would say, you've already got two. Well, you've already got one on the stat block. One of them is just tentacle attack, like just slap somebody. Another one can just be the detect that a lot of the dragons have, which is just it gets to make a perception check, which is obviously very handy for looking for the sneaky rogues or whatever. And then finally, you could give it like an ability called like sort of like spectral displacement or something weird like that, where like it sort of basically does a short range teleport, but the idea is like it sort of flickers in and out until it reappears somewhere else. And maybe that legendary action also, if its displacement trait is disrupted, it stops being disrupted and then it moves.
Or building on that idea, the older or more experienced displacer beasts will be able to control where the displacement illusion is, and it can hold it in a place while it moves around to within, like, say, like maybe 30 feet of it, so that it's bending the light. Like it's moving in place, but it's actually like physically moving elsewhere, and it'll basically seem like it's teleported.
Yeah, kind of like a form of the mirror image spell, maybe.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, like mirror image.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
Nice. Yeah, I think that its specific scenario that it has here in the little description, the ambush attack, is probably what I would go for. I'm not sure how else specifically to use them, because they are this monstrous beast thing, although they are intelligent. Like, I can't really see them being used in any other context apart from as like guards, as we love to use these big beasties for, or just wild creatures.
So firstly, the thing I would do with them is they would make a great so if I was starting a low level game out in the wilderness, which is where I tend to set my low level games, I would have a displacer beast act as a sort of a regional threat for a specific patch of forest and road. And like it would be known to the people of the local towns that place was dangerous, maybe to the point that it's avoided. Maybe that forest is like a fae, like linked to the fae or in some way, or perhaps this creature just got out of there and this is an unrelated patch of land that it's just prowling at the moment. And so I would set it in place, sort of like I did with the campaign I ran for you, Tim, where I just kind of had the creatures in their homes and you could go and find them whenever you liked. Just like, so I would just say like, okay, well, the displacer beast, it hangs out in this part of the woods. This is how it deals with like caravans and threats to its area, and like this is what its plans are, and this is maybe like what it wants. And maybe, if I wanted to go all in on sort of a local region, I might say like, this is what it knows and this is what it wants to know, or like this is the information it's seeking. Like maybe there's a hag in another forest that it doesn't like and it wants to get revenge on them for cursing it and taking one of its eyes or something like that. Like, again, this is based on the premise that I would make it smart enough to talk, and I would sort of like, I would actually kind of play into that idea, because one of the things that I feel about this creature we have here is that we have a creature that says, okay, well, it started off as a monster, it was made more intelligent by the Dark Fae, then it got loose, and then it left the fair world for the material plane, and now it kills things, and occasionally evil creatures will use it as a bodyguard. And no part of that is lawful evil. That's neutral evil, and occasionally chaotic evil. And so I would be like, all right, well, this stat block says lawful evil, so I want to use a lawful evil creature. I've got plenty of chaotic evil creatures in this book. If I'm being giving one that's lawful, I'll make it lawful. So I will say this displacer beast has a code of conduct. It has a way of interacting with interlopers on what it considers its land. So if the party perform the right steps, they can actually negotiate with this creature, even though it is evil. They can talk to it. They can make deals. They can even like secure safe passage for themselves through the wood by, like, I don't know, bringing it enough gold or like a deer carcass or whatever, or trading that information on the hag, or bringing the displacer beast the head of the hag or whatever, and sort of set up this thing as basically a local power. Other than that, another thing you could do entirely different to that is like sort of have them in the context of acting as bodyguards, and in the context of treating them as lawful and therefore in some way bound by their words or oaths, or a code of conduct. They would make great bodyguards for very, very like old places in the world that have been like effectively abandoned, maybe even places that like maybe portals that cross between our world and the Fey world.
Yeah.
And the Displacer Beasts guard them because they made some ancient pact to do so. And so even though it has been, whatever, hundreds of years since this pact was made, and like the gate that holds this portal in place is like collapsing under its own weight because it's such old stone, the beast, as far as we know, these things are kind of Fey monstrosities, so they probably don't age, or maybe they do, we don't know. So we could assume reasonably that they are immortal, or just that they age so slowly they are effectively immortal. They are from the Feywild after all.
True.
So we could just say that like this thing is really old, and maybe that's interesting too, right? Like maybe again play up that lawful nature, make it more like a dragon. It's this old creature that guards a portal to another dimension. Like it's probably got a lot of information that's worth knowing if we can just reason with it, but it doesn't really want to reason with us because it's the fucking predator. It just wants to kill our asses. But like if we prove ourselves worthy by playing its game, maybe then like if we spare it, it'll be like, all right, well fine, you've spared me, so now I owe you, so I can't kill you because that's not fair. So now I'll tell you what you want to know or whatever. But I like once I answer 3 questions, I've paid my debt and now I get to hunt you again. Or something like that. So now you're like, okay, well, we've used 2 of our questions. Do we really want to use the 3rd? Because then we have to fight this thing a second time.
Yeah.
Maybe it because the Feywild is such an alien place to most people of the material plane. It'll give you some handy little, maybe mechanical knowledge of the Feywild. Like if you are introducing your characters to the Feywild at some point in your campaign, have them fight an intelligent displacer beast who will give them some idea of how, I don't know, like the time dilation stuff works in the Feywild, because the Feywild has like time that slows down or speeds up. So like you could be in the Feywild for a day and you could come back and it could be like a minute later or like an entire week later. So if they give them like some information about like, ooh, it's actually the face of the moon that causes it to change, or whatever the tide is at the time that you leave. I don't know.
No, yeah, those are both great. That's really like those are both very like naturalistic Fey answers that suit the world
and relatively easily tracked.
Yes. Also, as another way to use them, they've upset some Fey creature and it sent these things after it. They've like disrupted some, some sort of shrine to the Unseelie Court or something like that. So they've sent Displacer Beasts after the party.
Ooh. Yeah, maybe. Ooh, that's cool. Maybe if you just like, if you hear that you're supposed to be going to the Feywild and then you just jump both feet first into the Feywild without recognizing that it is going to be this alien place, you desecrate these terrible places and then you come home and you're like, hey, we did the mission. And then suddenly you're being hunted by these things.
Yeah.
Like, what did we do? Yeah. So that's cool. So if you want to use Displacer Beasts, you can have them before you enter or after you enter. So that's cool.
Or sidelong to you entering and irrelevant, depending on how you want to run it.
Yeah. Cool.
I think he'd make a pretty rad like companion to like an evil ranger. If you have an evil ranger in your game at one point. But like that's just going with the making him like a bodyguard or like a pet or something, or a companion. But when I think about this guy, I think like, imagine like a rogue ranger out there and like who betrayed his team or something, whatever. And then you have to find this guy and he just happens to be friends with one of these guys. I don't know. It'll just be a fun like iconic image and fight, I think.
Or a druid who was raised by them.
A druid who's always shimmering slightly.
Yeah.
You could also, like, in the context of that, in the context of it being sort of a companion to a villain, either like a ranger or a druid or some other kind of, probably someone who has a reason to tame this thing. Maybe like sort of a fallen like knight of a Fey court or something like that. That could be kind of cool. But like in that context, if your villain is a medium creature, the Displacer Beast is large, and they could also use it as a mount, which would be very cool. Especially if you said like the displacement extends to whoever's riding it. And then you could have like cool stuff like if the ranger's on the back of the Displacer Beast and it fires an arrow at you, it's like a illusion arrow and like it sort of shimmers slightly, so it's you don't know where to block and stuff like that. So maybe like, you take, I don't know exactly.
They'll just have advantage on that attack.
the attack rolls have advantage, or like it could have a thing where like if it misses, it gets to re-roll. So the idea is like you thought you blocked it, but you blocked an illusion, and the real one gets you in the ribs or whatever. You're like,
That's kind of actually I'm kind of segueing now into Monster Hunter This Monster, but I have an idea now for that, and it's kind of similar to what we just said right there. So shall we segue into that? Is that all right, or do we guys want to mention anything real quick?
No, I think that's a good point.
No,
all right,
please.
Monster Hunter This Monster. So we don't really have a theme song or a...
Here's a little song that I composed for the little section known as, what's it called again? Oh yeah, it's Monster Hunter.
Interstitial thing for whatever. But I had an idea of, imagine like getting a Displacer Beast like armor set, like kind of like maybe like a leather armor, like a fur armor or something, like its pelt, make it out of that, and you have like the displacement, but you also have like the tentacles coming out the side as well, and you can kind of maybe as like a bonus action you can do like an extra attack with it and smack with one of the tentacles, or use it as like another or like get a slap in the face. Maybe it has charges, I don't know, like they can only do a certain amount, and you have the displacement and the avoidance, or one or either. But yeah, that's just going with make it into what's on the block. I actually I thought I had an idea for Monster Hunter's Monster at the start of this when I thought he actually teleported, but I was going to make a staff of its tentacles where you can make it teleport, but apparently he doesn't do that. Apparently I was going crazy.
Apparently, yeah.
It's okay. We all went crazy together.
Yeah.
Maybe that fur armor idea, if you gave it people disadvantage on your first hit, if the barbarian got that and they used their reckless attacks, it would level out, and you would only take normal attacks until someone hit it, and then it had to basically reset itself. So that's a cool way to offset the barbarian's recklessness.
Just before we continue, because I'm sure that our listeners are already fuming. I'm joking, of course. There is already an item called the Cloak of Displacement that is literally the displacement ability of the Displacer Beast on a cloak.
Perfect.
Did I do that episode? Did I do that episode of Treasure Trove? I don't think I did.
Did I do that?
Did I do that?
Yeah, it's literally they have attack roll. They have disadvantage on attack rolls against you. If you take damage, it sees its function until this. It's even better. The start of your next turn. Oh wow! This cloak is better than the actual creature. That's interesting. And the property is suppressed if you are incapacitated, restrained, or otherwise unable to move. So the same thing as if your speed is 0. Although weirdly worded differently. That's interesting. It's a rare item. It's a wondrous item that goes on your shoulders, and it requires attunement. So there you go. Just for context, before we continue, it is already an item.
Treasure Trove C. This week Dan is away, so Tim and Mikey dig further. Okay, I'm sorry, Mikey. I did that one. I'm really sorry, guys.
It was in your head. It was in your head.
Yeah, but I mean, like you've already looked it up, Mikey. Like, when was that? Like.
Oh, when was that? That was May 21st, 2018.
Okay.
Well, there you go. It was May. I mean, that's like that's some time ago.
It's like 7 or 8 months ago. Cool.
Sorry, guys. I'm going crazy this episode.
It's fine. Don't worry about it.
So I think that another item that it mentions in its description, if nowhere else in its stat block, was the eyes, which burn with malevolent evil. Like, I would say that would be a cool item to use as maybe give your character advantage on intimidation checks.
And dark vision.
Dark vision.
Just in case. Just in case you're a human, you're the one party member who doesn't have dark vision.
Because, God damn it, not having dark vision.
Throw dark vision on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, dark vision is like I don't know, it's like the sprinkles of magic items. It's like, you can just give it out for free. No one's going to even notice.
Yeah.
They should just put dark vision on every magic sword and magic weapon that you get. Just like, whatever, you get dark vision now. Stop asking about
the free refills of magic items. Dark vision.
Yeah.
Tentacle whips.
Tentacle whip. That's a good idea.
When a problem comes along,
just whip it.
You must whip it.
You must whip it.
I was hoping you guys keep going if I stayed quiet long enough, but you didn't.
No, sorry.
No, I don't apologize. I mean, it's a weird song. if you were to have a tentacle whip, I wonder how you would scale the damage. Because obviously a whip is a d4, but these tentacles are a d4 bludgeoning and then a d6 of piercing. But then they are also large. They are also parts of a large creature. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe a D4 bludgeoning and then another D4 piercing. I don't
That's
know.
what I was about to think. That's what I was
yeah.
Well,
Because
you just do the same but scale it down.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
It's going to be
there's-
slightly smaller
yeah.
to fit into a medium-sized human.
Yeah, a medium hand. Yeah. The other thing you could do is you could like. I'm wondering, like, could you maybe have something where like you have it deal normal whip damage, but maybe because of the fact that it has kind of barbs, it could have some sort of grappling ability.
Oh.
So rather than just say like, oh, it's a magical whip, it's like maybe it's +1, maybe it's just a magical whip, so it's a D4 with reach and finesse. And you say like, when you hit a creature with this weapon, you can also have the creature make a dexterity saving throw, or they become grappled or whatever, and then it's like you grab them with a whip. And it's like, oh, but you can't attack anyone else while you're grabbing one creature with this weapon.
so-
blah, blah, blah. Just like normal stuff.
Yeah, like it does normal whip damage, but
Yes.
it does have the little grippy things on it. So
Exactly.
whatever damage the grippy things would do would be like superficial, so it's not counted. That's cool. I like that.
So just the idea, like you might not be able to damage them with them, but hey, you could hold them in place or use it to like stick them where they are, or like trip them over or whatever. So like it's, rather than being just like it's a stab you with my whip, it's like sort of more like I'm
It
able to
grabs your
maneuver through the
armor,
battlefield.
or it grabs your clothes, or
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like literally like Velcro or whatever. It's like tugging at your clothes, and it's like much worse Velcro.
I'd say
like terrible
the one player character in your group who's like, oh yeah, my player, he's a whip build. I might as well use that one. Like I'll take the whip.
I use a net and a whip. Those are my primary weapons.
Yeah.
There's not much
Monster
that
Hunter.
immediately comes with it, but like it is a fey creature, so it has some magical essence to it, which is in its displacement and maybe a little bit in its eyes. But it's hard to say that none of the rest of it would have any special healing abilities, or like if it does have the like regenerative abilities that I think you mentioned earlier. I might have missed the initial point with that, but like maybe if you cook it up, you get some temporary hit points the next time you wake up after having a nice meal of Displacer Beast. Might be cool.
Yes.
You want to eat Displacer Beast?
It's delicious Displacer Beast. It's a
Eat?
delicacy.
All right, yeah.
I think I'm trying to figure out what do you think would the best what would the best item be for the avoidance, the evasion ability, taking only half damage, or taking no damage if you succeed on the saving throw. It's obviously a pretty useful ability. It's it's kind of a class feature of the rogues. So
Maybe
I don't
have
know.
it as like a single use item, like a vial of its blood or something.
It could be like a potion, so it's like temporary that you have. It's sort of like it's cat-like reflexes. It could be. I think boots would make sense.
Okay.
I don't know if you guys would.
Yes,
agree
I
with
was
that,
going
the
to say
idea
that
like
actually.
You're
I
like
was gonna
getting
say
out of the way,
boots,
you're like
yeah.
leaping. Yeah.
Boots of avoidance.
Displacing boots. Oh, I'm somewhere else.
Boots of displacement.
Just like the cloak.
Yeah.
Whoever
like the
wears the cloak and the boots just wants to be a Displacer Beast. They just wannabes. Oh, finally, I have all of its abilities. My Displacer
Transform
Beast
and
build.
roll out.
I'm transforming. It's happening.
The only other thing I'd like to talk about, and this is more abstract,
That's fine. Creature Goals
To return to our-
is about abstract.
to talk about the final point again, where it says they are favored as pets, but a Displacer Beast enters such an alliance only if it appears beneficial. What is beneficial to a Displacer Beast? Like, So like, as in, if I'm agreeing to an alliance and I want it to appear beneficial, things would, for me, like my concern would be like food and like money and stuff like that. Like, what does this thing care about? Because it hunts for sport, and it doesn't really seem to have any other interests. Like, does it just need to be guaranteed like a good spot?
Yeah, like I guess I was going. When we asked that, I was thinking about the hunting for sport part. Maybe you can promise. I'll promise to have good game for you to hunt. Maybe I can get you strong adventurers that you can fight. Or that you can try and hunt. Like, I promise you good game. I promise you plenty of things to kill. Maybe that could be it. That's just simple as that. Really, that's what came to my head anyway.
Yeah, I'm a big bad, and there's going to be lots of people coming to get me. So if you stay here, you're going to be challenged a lot. Here you go.
That's what villains in D&D campaigns do say. Like, I'm the villain, so join me, and people will fight you. So do it. Thanks, buddy.
I have lots of people who hate me, so I'm gonna.
Thanks, babes.
They're gonna come and get me. So help. And you can kill them, because that's what you would like to do. That's what you Displacer beasts like to do, isn't it? You just like to fight things and hunt them. Yeah, sure. Do that on my land.
Just by reading this, it seems like that's really what they like, is killing. Because it says right there, love of the kill. But that's really it. Do you have any ideas for that, Daniel? Or were you asking because you don't know?
I was asking just to get sort of the ideas, because I was thinking like that could be another way to use them in your setting. But yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Like, they don't appear to have any other real interests. I mean, the only other thing I can think of is that, according to this description, they lived in the Feywild but were chased out by the Seelie Court, and presumably they escaped to the material plane to like avoid these Fey hunters. But I wouldn't be surprised if some of them maybe wanted to return there. So maybe promise of return is payment of service for some Displacer beasts.
Maybe.
Like, you tell them, I can send you back to the Feywild, and you do this for me.
Yeah. Maybe an intelligent evil creature gives it something that appears beneficial to it. So the intelligent evil creature might trick them into some kind of accord. Like, they give them a potion of some sort that gives them enormous strength, but it like, after a day or two, they start dying. So they'll be tricked into the initial benefit, but the actual alliance that they go into is definitely one-sided. So they have to keep this guy alive, but they thought that they were getting this new potion. Delicious new potions.
Potion.
Maybe. That was a little bit more abstract, but hey, this is D&D, everybody.
Yeah, it's perfectly fine to kind of theorize this kind of stuff. Well, it's healthy to ask those questions, It's what Creature Club's all about, is asking the questions and looking at the book and saying, but why?
But why?
That's what it's really all about, Not your friends, not coming up with an adventure. It's about the esoterics, or the superficial things that you can try to come up with that don't really matter.
Exactly. That's what D&D is all about.
What's the nearest I play?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Any other final thoughts on the old Displacer beast?
I have one.
Oh.
Go for it.
So it has an armor class of 13, which is described as natural armor. Based on its dex mod, that means that it has basically leather armor. It has like 11 plus dex AC, which isn't very high at all. But also, because it has a dex mod of +2, it could wear medium armor and still benefit fully from its dexterity bonus. So a really easy way to naturally increase the challenge of a Displacer beast, especially one in service to an evil creature or acting as a companion to a villain, would be to simply have that villain purchase barding for the Displacer beast. So it could be anything really. Although the medium armor that don't give disadvantage on stealth probably makes sense, unless of course they don't really care about stealth based on their specific habits. But like like a displacer beast with like ring mail, or with if they were splashing out for it like with a breastplate. I don't know what that looks like on a displacer beast. I imagine it just looks sort of like a big, like lots of armor plating in lots of different places. More like a shell, I suppose.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just a thought, a sort of a way to organically increase the difficulty of the encounter and therefore the danger of the creature without it being too strange.
And you could give it different kinds of barding with regards what kind of job you want them to do. Like if you want them to be sitting by your front gate, then give them like a heavier armor. But if you want them to be out in your lands, stealth attacking anybody who comes nearby, then maybe give them a slightly one that won't give them disadvantage.
Yeah, I mean, even in the context of not giving disadvantage, like if you bought a Displacer Beast studded leather, it would have +1 AC, so it would technically be a little tougher.
Yeah,
and like that's, I mean, like studded leather. I know that barding, the rules for barding are that it costs 4 times more than the normal amount for the armor. So that means that obviously, if you wanted to buy medium armors, especially like the more expensive ones, it would cost a fortune. But studded leather is relatively cheap. I think it's only 25 gold. So that's a relatively small investment from the point of view of the, like, creatures who own the Displacer Beast or who are allied with the Displacer Beast, for a small but not insignificant increase to the creature's survivability. And in fact, because we can assume the Displacer Beast couldn't make this stuff on its own because it doesn't have thumbs, it just has tentacles, we could even say that like that is a peace offering, or it is part of the alliance, this armor for the Displacer Beast.
Yeah, its benefit.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. I like
I'd say it'd look very rad if I ever saw like a drawing of it. Like if someone ever did a drawing of a Displacer Beast in armor, I'd say it'd look awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Totally.
Yes. Shall we wrap it up? Shall we do the old 1-2, the bits?
Give me the bits.
Shall we count up our chickens after they egg,
hatch.
of course?
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you so much for listening to Creature Club. If you've liked this, you can subscribe to us on Spotify or iTunes. You can also go to our website, creatureclubpodcast.com, and there's links there to our RSS feed, which you might want to subscribe based on how you subscribe to things. I use an app on my phone, but I'm sure everyone has their own ways. You can also use our website to contact us using the Contact Us form, and you can comment below the episode if you have any of your own ideas about the Displacer Beast or anything else at all. You can email us. We are creatureclubpodcast@gmail.com. That's the best way to send us stuff if you have homebrew submissions. We're always looking for homebrews. We've already done one homebrew special, which if you haven't listened to, I would strongly recommend. And we want to do more homebrew specials. We want to do magic items. We want to do spells. We want to do custom classes. Anything you've got, we want it. We are on Twitter. We've just started the Twitter a couple of, it might be months ago now, actually. Wow. Which is just at Creature Club Pod, at Creature Club Pod, just pod, not podcast. And we always post up there when we have a new episode or anything like that. So you can also follow us there if that's more convenient for yourself.
Yeah, it's a good way to talk to us if you want to ever send us a message about how much you love us and how handsome we are, or how handsome we sound, I guess. Or if you just like, hey guys, I have an idea. Oh, thank you, Daniel. Thank you very much. If you're like, I have an idea, just what do you think I think about this? Then we'll know. We'll instantly get it. But any way we have told you, either the email or the website, you can get to us. Whatever way you're comfortable with, go with it.
One way that you can let us know how great you think we are is by sending in reviews to your podcast apps or your podcast things. Most of ours that we've been reading off in the last couple episodes have come from Apple Podcasts. And the next one in line with regards the order that we've been reading them out has come from Christopher Stewart, who is a fellow, a great chappy. Yes, indeed.
He's been writing into us. He has a bunch of homebrews from him. He's just been a good old listener. So thank you very much, Christopher Stewart.
A very active listener. So cheers, Christopher. He submitted it via Apple Podcasts in Canada, which is, I think, our first Canadian review on the 18th.
Oh my God, is he the reason we have all those Canadian views?
Oh, maybe.
He's a one-man army.
Yeah.
That's unreal.
Chris, if that's
Sorry,
you,
please
let us know.
continue. Yeah, seriously, man. I was literally like, why do we have a spike in Canada? What happened? It's just you. That's unbelievable.
So it was submitted on the 18th of October 2018. The title of the review is Monstrous Inspiration, and he gave us a 5-star review. So thank you very much, Christopher, for that. I can't explain just how great this podcast is. In so many episodes, I found that monsters I never looked twice at proved to be far better than I had expected. Great example, the Ankeg. It's a great way to get introduced to the Creature Club. So, thank you so much, Christopher, for that shining review and for your interaction on Twitter and for sending in your homebrew. We will definitely be using that one in our next homebrew episode, which may not be for a while, but you can look forward to it for sure.
Yeah, and while we're talking about feedback, we did get an email from Jason last week. I won't say his second name because I've realized that's probably not appropriate. But he just finished our Chull episode, and it's really interesting because he's talking about the idea that like he had this like it's so Creature Club because he basically went on this like mad tangent and went really high concept. I'm just going to read it out verbatim here. So I just finished your Chull episode and I'm currently using them in a large way in my home game, so I couldn't help but chime in. Here's the thought process. As aberrations, they are literally an antithesis to the natural order of things. So a small riverside town has started intentionally fishing for them from the nearby giant lake, and they have gradually replaced every other domestic animal in town. There are tiny pet chulls and huge draft chulls, chulls to ride and chulls to plow, even elephantine chulls trained to help with building construction. They're incredibly pliant and easy to train, and seem to feed exclusively on muck near the lake or insects and allowed to just graze along the coastline. The town is slowly being converted into thralls by an aboleth in the lake, but they're thrilled with these convenient and wonderfully useful creatures. It's brilliant. It's so interesting.
So cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
It could arguably be like a damning indictment of sort of like the conveniences of modern society if you wanted it to be, which I'm only thinking of because it's Christmas. But but also it's a really interesting D&D game, and it's fascinating. And like as the podcast that goes on the most wild tangents, probably not ever, but certainly in D&D, I think this is right up our alley. Like it's very cool.
Absolutely applaud that. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
Now you're thinking that's like pretty much what we wanted people to start thinking about when it comes to these episodes. Is like start using the creatures in these weird ways and these different ways that make for an interesting D&D campaign and D&D setting. Like we want people to do that. So
absolutely.
It's cool.
Yeah, for both the new players and the old players, we want to come up with something interesting that maybe someone else hadn't thought of because, as we've always said, we bounce stuff off each other and more comes out of us from the inspiration from each other. So send us in whatever you're inspired by us for. So like this.
So thank you, Christopher, and thank you, Jason, for your messages in and your reviews and your emails and stuff like that. So if you guys want to be read on Creature Club, then go ahead, send us a message or whatever way you want to do it. You'll be read on the show if you are into that. So
it will. There's also one more that I have to read out.
Okay.
Our first patron saint of the podcast,
this one
has commented on our most recent Villain Squad episode, the Alchemical Cartel, and said, "These guys make some great points, but don't let this distract you from the fact that in 1998, the Undertaker threw mankind off hell in a cell and plummeted 16 feet through an announcing state." And he's just a wonderful man, and I'm so glad we have him in our lives.
Yeah, when I saw that, I was like, "God damn you, Brefu." Anyway, thank you so much for listening, everybody. Join us next time for another episode of Something. I have been Mikey.
I have been Tim.
And I've been Dan.
Stay cool.